And welcome back to the Correspondents on Voice of America. I'm Mil Arcega in Washington. Well, it's almost over, folks. And this week, supporters of both presidential candidates, Republican Donald Trump and Democratic rival Hillary Clinton, gathered in the debate hall at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas to support their candidates in the third and final debate before the November 8th election. VOA's Elizabeth Lee covered that debate for us. Let's hear part of her report from Las Vegas.
On campus at the debate site, Clinton and Trump supporters rally outside, while the presidential candidates inside make one last effort to sway undecided voters. Next to the debate hall, in the spin room, Democrats and Republicans speak to reporters after the debate. A common topic, Trump's unwillingness to accept the results if Clinton wins the election.
And this is an American voting process, not a party process. If there's something that has an appearance of impropriety, I think it's a fair question to challenge that.
Clinton supporters expressed outrage.
Yeah, we just had the nominee of the Republican Party say he doesn't trust American democracy. He doesn't know if he'll trust the outcome of this presidential election. I can't think of anything sadder or more disqualifying.
As to who won the final debate, it depends on who you ask.
I thought she crushed him.
Donald J. Trump, absolutely, hands down.
Of course, early polls, including the CNN ORC poll, say that Hillary Clinton won that debate. But of course, everyone is welcome to their own opinions. Now, joining us now to talk about whether this third and final debate succeeded in moving the needle for undecided voters at all, we are joined in our LA studio by VOA's Elizabeth Lee, who filed that report for us that you just heard. And joining me here in Washington, our very own Steve Baragona, who got some lessons on civility from an 8th grade school teacher. It's great to have both of you. There are lots to talk about, but I'm going to start with you, Elizabeth, because you're there covering this. Now, this was one of the more substantive debates, Elizabeth. A lot of policy discussions, right? What kinds of issues?
Yes, a lot of.
What kind of issues resonated with the folks that you spoke with over there? Sorry about the 3-second delay.
So the issues that the residents and a lot of the tourists in Las Vegas were concerned about were immigration and national security. And when I asked, who do they support or who do they think is a better candidate, a lot of people were undecided, but these were the two topics kept coming up. And when I spoke to people, it's very emotionally charged.
Yes, I can
Everyone
imagine.
I spoke to had something negative to say about one candidate or another, but it came down to those who felt that Hillary Clinton was a better candidate, said she was someone who was more inclusive, she was someone who would be more pro-immigration, and for those who supported Donald Trump, they said they felt he was an outsider, a Washington outsider. They liked that. He was not a part of Wall Street. They said, and not a part of the Washington politics, and that he was a stronger candidate, they felt, to keep us safe from any act of terrorism. So these were some of the pro-Trump and pro-Clinton supporters. At the end of the debate, though, I spoke to some people, and they said they still haven't decided because they didn't like either candidate.
So what I saw there was Donald Trump doing a pretty good job of acting presidential for about the first 30 minutes. And then I think a lot of pundits are saying that he shot himself in the foot. Biggest headlines that we saw were Donald Trump's refusal to say whether he would, in fact, accept the vote of the people. Some thought that was kind of a disqualifying comment by Trump. What did people over there have to say about that?
Yeah, a lot of the undecided I spoke to were surprised that, someone who wants to run for president isn't into the democratic process or isn't, trusting the democratic process. But then others I spoke to wasn't surprised because Donald Trump, they say, is always full of surprises of whatever he says at the very end. But people said they did keep, for the most part, to the issues, which they were happy to hear. But again, as you said, there was that surprise at the end, and a lot of people were, in fact, outraged that he said that he would distrust the democratic process.
Yeah,
but as you saw as part of my package, the Trump supporters are kind of buying into that rhetoric of, that the campaign is rigged. So we'll see what happens on election day and the day after.
Right. And Steve, you're probably like many glad that these debates are finally over. This has been, I think, in my experience, one of the most cringe-worthy, one of the nastiest political seasons we've seen. Just quick question. Do you think civility has died in the age of Twitter and instant sound bites?
You know, I don't know if it's Twitter and instant sound bites that's doing it, but certainly this campaign has been exceptionally nasty. And there's been some sociological research talking about how Americans have separated from each other, not just ideologically, but geographically. Like, people live in places that, for the most part, agree with each other now.
So many people are unfriending other people who don't agree with their...
Right. But it's not even that. It's like your neighbors generally tend to agree with you. So people aren't exposed to people with different viewpoints as much as they used to be. And so, you know, one argument is that we've kind of lost the ability to talk to people who disagree with us because we're out of practice.
So these political leaders are our role models. What impact is that having on our young people?
Yeah, this campaign has been tough for 8th grade civics teachers that I've talked to recently. We just went a couple of days ago to a school here in the DC suburbs.
This makes for a teachable moment, doesn't it?
Well, it could in two ways. It's October. It is anti-bullying month here in the Virginia school system, and I talked to a teacher who said he had trouble teaching some of the things that Donald Trump has been saying. You know,
I wish I could talk some more. Be civil, everyone, but I had to say, stop it. I'm finished. Thank you, Elizabeth and Steve. I got lots more to talk to you about, but we'll be back again next week for another edition of The Correspondents. Meantime, stay up to date with all the latest world news at voanews.com and check out all of our shows there. Just click on the Watch tab on the upper right side of our homepage, and remember to be civil to all your friends. We are also on Facebook and YouTube at VOA The Correspondents. I'm Mil Arcega. For now, so long from Washington.